inside you and assess, is this me doing this? Is this me untouched, unmanipulated, unfiltered, who wants to take this course of action? Or is this a reaction to something I'm not even recognizing? Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Kira. Subscribe if you're new, and without further ado, let's get into today's video. Today, I wanted to talk about the different ways in which women behave in a patriarchal way as defense mechanisms, and just kind of questioning that whole dynamic, and also bringing up the question, do women want what men have? Because so today I woke up, I was scrolling on my timeline on TikTok, on my FYP. And I don't know if you've seen it, but there is a trend that where people will pose as their quote unquote bodies. I had to take the music out for copyright purposes, but you get the gist of the video. Already problematic because we're using the term bodies. The crazy thing is, some people will block out the names. Like, these are usually screenshots of like Instagram pictures. Some people will block out the names. Some people do not give a singular F and will leave the names in. Which honestly, so many times on TikTok, I'm like, is this illegal? Like, I'm watching something and I'm like, this is illegal that I'm seeing this right now, right? Well, especially when, this is a tangent, especially when people were doing like the plane rides, they were like, I will never forget you, and it's like some random guy on the flight, and girls were like, yeah, that's my baby daddy, or so. It was nuts, and I was like, I should not be seeing this right now. This should be illegal. So this trend is one of those things that feels illegal sometimes, especially when people keep the names in of like people that they used to sleep with. And from what I can tell, people are not getting permission to post these people. Because in the caption, they'll be like, was feeling bold today. So clearly they don't have these people's permission to share whatever, but while the trend is entertaining, you can't deny it's kind of in bad taste. And the thing is, who do we expect that behavior from? Men, right? We expect that behavior from men. But at least on my FYP, I'm sure there's like so many men doing this too, but they're just not on my FYP because obviously my FYP is curated for me. But the ones that come on my FYP are usually women. And you know, again, it's been entertaining, especially the first few times I saw the trend and I saw a girl do it. I was entertained, like it's a funny trend. But today when I was scrolling and I was watching it, I started to realize that it's giving we want what men have, and it's giving the approach to the whole trend is very exploitive. And the nature of it is to kind of disrespect / embarrass somebody that you used to be intimate with, right? The whole, telling people that you slept with someone without their permission and embarrassing them and disrespecting them, who do we think of when we hear those things? We don't think of women, right? Because historically, women don't do that in the same way. Women, like even if you just think of a lot of media we have and a lot of television shows we have, I'm thinking of like 13 Reasons Why, I'm thinking of just so many, and not even 13 Reasons Why for like all the crazy reasons that it is 13 Reasons Why, but like the nature of exploiting someone that you were intimate with, telling everybody and embarrassing them. We see that happen all the time in, movies and TV shows and media. That storyline of the guy goes and tells all his friends about what he did with the girl, even if he didn't even necessarily do that with the girl, or even if he did, he's trying to embarrass her, whatever. We know that narrative from media, but more so, we know that from real life. We know that from real life, and we know the ways in which men speak about women that they've been intimate with in a very disrespectful, exploitive, and embarrassing way. And so now as women, you want to do that? do that too, that's a little bit weird to me. That's a little bit strange to me because, you know, we as women, we talk so much about how we hate when men do certain things and blah, 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 blah. What is the point of talking about this so much if we are then going to turn around and poison the well? Right? Because what I think women don't understand a lot of times is that we have the opportunity to think really critically about how we want to reconstruct our world, right? And I think a lot of people think feminism is women doing whatever the heck they want, whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want, with no critical thinking. And I'm here to tell you that makes no sense because, you know, feminism and what we're fighting for is the dismantling of the patriarchy, which is a system in society that we all live in. We live here too. We live here too. That is my biggest emphasis to women who always somehow forget. We live here too. We were raised here too. And a lot of the patriarchy is perpetuated by women in internalized misogyny. But right now, what we're starting to see more of is patriarchal ideas being perpetuated by women in a way where they're trying to act like they want what men have. They want that kind of exploitive power. They want to disrespect others to feel that power. And I personally, I don't think that's what we really want. And I don't think doing things like this has a lot of critical thinking behind it because, listen, I just don't really believe that, okay, you know, the women who adopt male, you know, vocabulary, the ones who say, you know, bodies and like females and, you know those women, I think it tends to come from a place of like protection of, you know, maybe this person, I mean, so many of us were spoken about in such an exploitive and embarrassing way by a man that we were intimate with. And so some women then, you know, weaponize that and try and do that to other men. But first of all, the thing is, even if they do want to do that, even if you are going to do that and you're going to try and like reclaim power by doing what was done to you, I'm here to tell you it's not going to have the same effect. Like, it's really not the same. And that's why things like this are more funny than hurtful, is because when we see a woman do it, it's like a little bit comedic in the way that it's a joke in a dream world, a world where that is actually oppressing someone. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's we're at child's play because we know we're not actually in control of the patriarchy, and us talking about people men in a disrespectful way isn't going to subordinate them, isn't going to make them lesser. It's just kind of like a funny thing because it's like, oh, haha, roles are reversed. But it's not really doing what you think it's doing, if that makes sense. But what it is doing that I don't think you think it's doing is it is making disrespecting your partner even more normal and even more okay because, well, if girls do it too, then guys can also do it, right? Like, it's like they're going to be this kind of vocabulary and this kind of way of speaking and approach to speaking about people, human beings that you may have been intimate with, that is just going to get normalized in a way that is going to come back and hurt women. In a way that is going to come back like a boomerang and hurt women. Do you know why? Because within these oppressive structures, you can't really try and take on the oppressor's role and think it will end up well for you because it's somehow gonna come back and bite you in the ass. That is the same thing with Chugi, right? This is the same conversation we had with Chugi, is that even though it wasn't, you know, done by a man, created by a man, you best believe this is gonna end up in a man's hands and used against a woman, right? So what you think you're doing here isn't what you're really doing. And it doesn't make sense to me to continue to poison the well. And like, I understand, like, especially what I'm seeing from, I guess these are probably like younger Gen Z kids, honestly. Like, I'm very much at the end of Gen Z. I'm a zillennial, so I'm really right in between. I'm really on the cusp. And what I'm seeing a lot from the younger Gen Z is like a lot of the women trying to speak about men in a way that we're used to seeing men speak about women, in a disrespectful way, in a, you know, degrading and whatever, and like as if it's normal. And the thing is, it's just not doing what you think it's doing. It really isn't. Like, moving more towards patriarchal ideals is not going to liberate women. I'm sorry. But I think what some women think equality is, or feel equality, or again, it's a defense mechanism, because when you have no power, you do things to make yourself feel powerful and make yourself feel like you're fighting back when it's child's play. Like, this is the patriarchy we're talking about. Anyway, some women think that equality and liberation for women is doing what men do. And men aren't free either, right? Men very much are hurt by the patriarchy and are affected by the patriarchy. And in general, the patriarchy just curates an environment of shallowness, of not caring about other people fully and completely as their whole and complete selves, and not caring about their well-being and just disrespecting them. And so to hop on that as a woman and call that feminism makes no sense to me. Just to be clear, that makes no sense. And I encourage everybody listening to really think critically about the ways in which you show up in the world and why you choose to show up that way. Because for women, what you need to remember is, again, we were raised here too. So your default may not be what should be your go-to, but I think a lot of women think that their default is the go-to, is the way, the truth, and the light. And I'm here to tell you, sorry, hun, you need to do some work on yourself in critical thinking and deep diving to figure out where your actions are coming from before you can talk about yourself like everything you do is blessed and angelic and inherently good. Like, you would need to investigate yourself and go deeper to find out where your actions are coming from. And we cannot pretend that our actions exist in a vacuum, whether we're talking about stuff like this, speaking about people that you've been intimate with disrespectfully, whether we're talking about plastic surgery, whatever you're doing, you need, as a woman, you really need to look deep inside you and assess, is this me doing this? Is this me untouched, unmanipulated, unfiltered, who wants to take this course of action? Or is this a reaction to something I'm not even recognizing? And 9 times out of 10, especially if it's something either directed by the male gaze or something that is a defense mechanism from the male gaze, when you're doing things like that, you really need to ask yourself a lot of questions. Because 9 out of 10 times you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm not doing that for me. And if I was in a vacuum in outer space, I would not be doing this. Like, the nature of humans is not to sleep with someone and then talk about them like a body. Like, the whole concept of talking about people like bodies is crazy to me. And to be a woman and want to normalize that after being through like just all of the negative culture and talk surrounding that is not what you think it is. That is not helping the way you think it is, and it's not doing what you think it's doing. So I simply suggest that you think more critically about where your actions are coming from. Also, I saw a TikTok the other day that was kind of touching on this. Like, women, she was basically saying, I can't remember her name, tag her if you know her or whatever, but she was talking about how a lot of women-loving women don't know that they're women-loving women because the way they have been taught what attraction is, what attraction looks like for a woman is so different than what it would be for a woman to a woman. Like the male gaze aspect and the patriarchal way of like desiring a woman, the way it's been presented to us is not, it would make somebody who does love women, a woman loving woman, might make them confused about whether or not they actually like women, because what they have been taught to perceive, what they have been taught loving a woman looks like and desiring a woman looks like is not what they feel. But like what they feel is completely valid, and that is desiring a woman, but because of the way we have been taught that desiring a woman includes like, you know, this crazy lust and objectification and like disrespect, some women loving women might not think they love women because what they have been perceived, what they have been taught to perceive as loving women looks like is not what they feel. And so that was just very interesting to me, because that reminds me of all the ways in which like we just don't even know what we don't know, and we don't know what perceptions have been warped to limit us in one way or another, whether it's limiting your perception of who you love or limiting your perception of what you can do and deserve to be able to do to other people and to yourself. Like all this different stuff, it brings up all these questions of what we have been taught is the norm, but it's really a man's norm, a man in this world's norm, which I don't even think would be a man's norm, you know, if we were in a patriarchy-less society. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I think that's all I have to say about this topic. Let me know your thoughts down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share this video. Make sure to check out my podcast. That will be linked in the bio. Check out my Patreon, also linked in bio. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.